Welcome back to another episode of The Great Debate Show. I'm your host, Jarvis Jeffries, one half of The Good Guys, which is what they call us. Terrence Smith will be with me later tonight to review Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Maybe tomorrow we'll also come back with our annual WrestleMania predictions. We will give you that also tomorrow or Wednesday. It'll definitely drop this week as we get ready for WrestleMania 41 this weekend. But today I'm here to talk about, what am I here to talk about? NBA playoff picture, first round. Some of those series are already set for the first round. I want to talk about the NFL draft. Some of the things, updates, and things that have transpired over the weekend as far as to what some of these teams could do. I will be presenting you my NFL mock draft 3.0, and it's still not the last one I'm going to do. I will do one more next week. That will be my final fourth mock draft. We're 10 days away, so I still got time for two more, and I'm about to give you one today. Also, congratulations to Rory McIlroy, who wins the Masters and now is a Grand Slam champion, whatever that means. I'm not very big on golf. I don't know much about it, but he did win, and it's not easy to win anything in golf. So I just want to give him congratulations for that. Also, Grand Rising Kings and Queens, I hope all is well, and let's get this thing started with the NBA playoff picture. I think I'll start there first. The NBA playoff picture is kind of set. Yesterday, we had like a 15-game slate where these teams were competing to get their playoff seeding, their positioning. Some teams did a good job. Some teams not so good. There was a lot of play-ins coming up on Tuesday. One, my Memphis Grizzlies, who will be in that right now at an 8 seed, will have to go to Minnesota and play the right now. They're locked in at 6, but the Grizzlies will be playing them in Minnesota. And no, I'm sorry, they're going to the Bay on Tuesday to play Golden State. That'll be the 8 versus the 7 seed. And the Warriors will probably try to win that game. They'll probably more than likely win that game. And if they are locked in at 7, they're going to play the number 2 Rockets, who are already locked in at number 2. The Grizzlies have not been successful in the state of California this season, so they're probably going to lose, and we're probably going to be stuck at 8, which is also bad news because they would have to play the number 1 seed OKC Thunder, and they, if I'm not mistaken, have not beaten the Thunder all season long. So let's get into that playoff picture, shall we? The Lakers are locked in at 3. The Timberwolves are locked in at 6, and those two will face each other in the first round. Lakers, Timberwolves. How does everybody feel about that? Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man, who just dropped 44 at the FedEx Forum this past Thursday night against my Grizzlies, he gets a chance to, get his lick back because his team was eliminated last year in the playoffs by Luka Doncic and his Dallas Mavericks. Now he's a LA Laker, but I'm sure Ant-Man wants to win the series regardless of who he's going up against. But this one could be a little bit more sweeter for him if he could get this win beating Luka. Again, that's the team that his Dallas Mavericks last year is the team that eliminated the Timberwolves. I thought the Timberwolves were going to the NBA Finals after they got rid of the Denver Nuggets. That wasn't the case. Dallas surprised some people, played great ball, and there we had it. So now let's see if Ant-Man can get his lick back on Luka. Luka is not playing with the same team. No, he's playing with LeBron and those young guys who are shooting good off the wing, in the corner, playing good defense, transition. That's going to be a good series. It's not going to be the Lakers and the Warriors like people might have hoped for. It's going to be the Lakers and the Timberwolves, and I'm interested in it because I don't know how this is going to fare when I look at the matchups and I think about it. Rudy Gobert, there will be some concern for what Luka and LeBron wants to do trying to get to the rim. How many free throw attempts will they have in this series? That's going to be interesting. And I don't think it's going to be a patty cake walk. Even though I think the Lakers can win the championship, they may not be running into the right team. Minnesota is coming in hot. And again, I am going off of the last game that I watched him play at the FedEx Forum in Memphis. Then the Grizzlies were just bad as far as perimeter defense and all of that is concerned. So maybe they only look that hot against my team. I love Ant-Man though, and I think that don't think the Timberwolves still can't make a run here because Karl-Anthony Towns is in New York with the Knicks. This team is starting to come along. Julius Randle, what's his name? McDaniels. These guys are starting to come along here. And man, we know Ant is a leader, so let's see how that goes. The NBA playoffs kind of set with the rounds. Let's go over the brackets. See, can I get you the seedings again? Shout out to Rory McIlroy, who is now the winner of the Masters, and he is a Grand Slam champion in golf. Okay, looking at that bracket now in basketball. This is how it's set up. I want to say Grand Rising. Kings and Queens, I hope all is well to everybody on YouTube. I'm live on YouTube right now, about to give you the scoop. Everybody in here saying hi. Thank you for joining me. Hello, C15. Hello, Muhammad. What are those emojis you got there, man? Are those soccer balls or? I'm not sure. Again, congrats to Rory McIlroy winning in the Masters on golf. Vincent, hey, he said hi, hello. What is that? Initiate. Good morning, Grand Rising to all of you, man. How you feel about Jaws? Grenade silly. LeBron, Luka combo will go nuts in the playoffs. I'm ready to see it. I'm ready to talk about it. First of all, to answer your first question, how do I feel about Ja and his grenade silly? Well, that celebration, it's okay. It's better than, like gun stuff, like pulling the trigger and things like that with the gun and all of that he was doing. That's a little better, I guess. I haven't heard the NBA say anything about it, so I guess I'm okay with it. I remember looking at my daughter laughing, and she was like, Ja just won't stop. And I'm like, nah, he won't. He's just trying to get himself out of the league here. But this seems like this is a playful celebration. He's just throwing the grenade, and he covers his ears because this, of course, is an explosion. Now the fans are doing it, so I don't really know what the NBA could or will do about it, and I don't know if they even should. It's okay. I guess it's okay. But again, he's made it a thing now in Memphis because all of the fans were saying boom. As soon as he would do it, boom. That's what the fans are saying now. So it's a thing now, and I don't really think, the NBA will really take, do anything or discipline him with that. At least I don't think. I haven't heard anything. But at least he's not doing the gun stuff anymore. He had said that he wouldn't stop doing that either. I mean, but after $75,000 fines, eventually, you may want to come to your senses. And what do I think about LeBron and Luka? The combination of those two in the playoffs, I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be entertaining. This should be a good playoff series. I just don't know if it's going to be as easy as I thought it probably would have been had they had played, I hate to say it, Memphis, if Memphis was number 6, or if they had played the Golden State Warriors, if they were number 6. I like Golden State, but I don't know if they're better than the Lakers. And it's going to take Steph Curry to still ball out in this first round in order to make it to a second round. But the Lakers and the Timberwolves, man, that's going to be interesting. That's not going to be an easy first round for the Lakers. Ant-Man's going to have something to say about that. I can't wait to see it. The Lakers will probably do what J.J. Redick has been doing, though, since he's been the head coach this season. Lately here, since the Luka trade, since AD has been gone, they're taking away your best offensive player. They'll swarm you. They will blitz you. And then they'll take it out of the superstar hands and force someone else to make a play. They did this very, very effectively against the Denver Nuggets a few weeks ago. Jokic did not get enough shot attempts because they wouldn't allow it. If anybody else missed for the Nuggets, which they did a lot because they were forced to put it into the hands of players that really just couldn't make a shot. And they were running in transition, and they were scoring, and they were knocking down their shots. And this is where the Lakers are very efficient, very effective. But can they do that against the Timberwolves? The Timberwolves, they play some defense too. So this is going to be interesting to see. But initiate. To answer your question, man, and I hope I'm not botching the name there, but yeah, I do think they're gonna go nuts in the playoffs. It's just how far will they go? That'll be the thing. So looking at the NBA playoff picture so far, what we have is, of course, we know OKC is number one. They are waiting for the 8 seed team, which is probably going to be my Memphis Grizzlies. Again, the Grizzlies and the Warriors, number 7 and 8, will be playing on Tuesday to in the play-in tournament to figure out who has what seed. Now, if the Grizzlies win, I guess they're going to be 7 and Warriors will be 8, I guess. I'm not sure. But again, the Grizzlies have not been successful in California. They hadn't been too successful against the top 6 seed, the top 6 teams in the West anyway. They've been running through the East in the bottom of the Western Conference, and it's starting to show now. And I guess that's why they fired their head coach early, because I think they already see they're not going to make a playoff run. They may not even make the playoffs. Is there a way that they can miss the playoffs? Yes, it is. That's what this play-in tournament is about. 9 and 10 is the Sacramento Kings and the Dallas Mavericks. They will also be playing on Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't see the date for that. But these games, the SoFi play-in tournament starts tomorrow, April 15th, ends the 18th, which is what, Thursday, Friday? And the playoffs begin on April 19th. That's Saturday. So we've got Tuesday through Friday for this tournament, this play-in tournament. And then the playoffs officially begin on Saturday, April 19th. Let me just talk about the ones that are set, because even on the Eastern Conference, the Cavs at number 1 do not know who they're playing yet at the 8th seed. It could be 7 right now, Orlando, or Atlanta at 8. 9 and 10 right now are the Chicago Bulls and the Miami Heat. Those teams will be playing this week as well in the play-in tournament. So just focusing on the teams that we know will be playing. The Rockets still don't know yet. The Celtics at 2 still don't know yet. So the only ones that we have locked in right now is the 4 against the 5, the 4th and 5th seed teams, and the 3rd and 6th seed teams in both conferences. So we've got the Denver Nuggets at 4. In an impressive win yesterday, they locked in their number 4 seed as they will be playing the LA Clippers. And the Clippers locked in their 5th seed with an impressive win on the road against the Golden State Warriors. So the Clippers and the Nuggets at 4 and 5 will meet in round 1, with the Denver Nuggets being 4th seed, having the home court advantage. That's going to be an interesting matchup. The Clippers is a team that I fear to say anything positive about, because as soon as I jump back on the Clippers bandwagon, that's when Kawhi is going to make his exit for the season. This is when he will stop playing, whether it's a knee injury, whether it's something will be going on with Kawhi Leonard, and we won't get him to see what the Clippers could have did in the postseason. So I'm not saying anything. For the past 3-4 years, I was saying Clips in 6. This is going to be the year. This is going to be the year. And it never worked out. We never got to see Kawhi and Paul George play together. We never got to see. I don't know. Let's see what Kawhi does now. He missed most of the year, and then he came back, and now he's playing. Maybe this will finally work, because he didn't start the year off playing. I don't know. But now it's him and James Harden. No Paul George. It's James Harden. James Harden, we know what he does. He carries his team throughout the NBA season. And then when it's time, when it matters the most, that's when he kind of signs off. Some people can say it's fatigue. He's carried the team on his back all season long. What do you expect? What else can he possibly do? I don't know. How about save some of that energy? Keep enough gas in the tank for May and June, because he's never playing in June, and he's rarely playing in May. And these are the reasons why I have always had a bone to pick with James Harden, even though he is still one of the best scorers that I've seen play this game in NBA history. It's about when he plays the way he plays at certain times. He just doesn't turn it on when he needs to turn it on. It'll be interesting to see if he does it here. Now, in the first round, he's a first-round guy. It's when we get past the first round is where it's hard to find out where James Harden is. Sometimes he's like Waldo. We're looking for him, and we cannot find him anywhere on the board, anywhere on the map. So let's see what happens. Joker and the Nuggets versus the Clippers. Keep in mind, the Nuggets do not have a head coach. They have an interim head coach. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. And then you have the Lakers at the 3rd seed will be playing the 6th seed Timberwolves that I've already discussed. I'll give predictions as soon as the whole entire playoff picture is set. So that will be, I guess I will be coming in Friday night. As soon as we recap SmackDown, we can talk about the NBA playoff picture leading up to Saturday as it'll begin. And that's rough for the teams that are in this play-in because they're not getting any days off. They have to go right back into it for the teams that are going to make the playoffs. So that's it. Nuggets, Clippers. That's the 4th and 5th seed teams. Nuggets have home court advantage. Lakers, Timberwolves. That's the 3rd and 6th seed teams. Lakers have home court advantage. Moving over to the Eastern Conference. At 4, you've got the Pacers, who will host the 5th seed Milwaukee Bucks. Keep in mind, no Dame Lillard as of now. He may not be playing again for the rest of this season, but there were reports that he could possibly return for the playoffs. We're getting close. Playoffs start Saturday. Now, the Pacers last year gave the Bucks some problems. They're the 4th seed. They have home court advantage. It'll be interesting to see what Tyrese Halliburton, and the rest of the Pacers squad will do up there in Indiana. We know Giannis Antetokounmpo. We've heard the reports. He is a Buck. He loves being a Buck. However, he may want to leave. He's growing frustrated with what the front office is doing on the lack of talent that they're putting around him. They made a trade at the trade deadline and brought in Kyle Kuzma, although Dame Lillard is out right now. Let's see what the Bucks do here and if they make some noise. I won't be surprised if this is the last year that Giannis is a Milwaukee Buck. I won't be surprised if he's a New York Knick next year or in the next coming seasons. I think the Knicks are looking for that big fish. That was the reason for them trading for Karl-Anthony Towns. That wasn't permanent. That was to draw a bigger fish. That was a report that came out not long after they acquired Karl-Anthony Towns. And I think that Giannis or Zion Williamson will be playing at Madison Square Garden as a Knick next year. And when they're on NBC, the Knicks are going to be the Knicks again. I don't know how far they'll go this year. I'm being told they're in a bad matchup right now in the first round that I'm about to get to right now. But the Bucks and the Pacers, whatever Giannis does in this playoffs, it'll be very, very interesting to see, because just as they're talking about Ja, who could possibly leave Memphis and get traded, so could Giannis. He could either get traded or he would have to get traded. I'm sure his contract is nowhere near up. The Bucks are not even trying to let him be a free agent. But he could definitely demand a trade here and want out. And they could lose this first round here to Indiana. And I would be interested to see what happens with him. He could be a Knick. I think Giannis or Zion. Those are one of the big fish, potentially, that the Knicks would like to grab in free agency. And you can't tell me, during this offseason, and you can't tell me the Knicks aren't one more star away. They could use that. How about the Knicks now? They're a 3rd seed team who will be hosting the 6th seed Detroit Pistons. Shout out to Bickerstaff and his team and his staff. And the Pistons are in the postseason, and they're at 6. How do you all feel about Cade Cunningham and the rest of those guys? Malik Beasley. The Pistons are playing better basketball. I'm not telling you that they can beat a top seed team like Cleveland or Boston. I wouldn't dare say that. But the matchups against the Knicks is interesting, and I think that the Pistons could really give the Knicks a run for their money. Jalen Brunson is back, though, and that's Mr. Big Shot. As long as you have him, you definitely have a chance of moving on to the second round. If they do, they'll probably go against the Cavs, and I don't think they have a chance against the Cavs. So we probably are going to see Cleveland and Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals, as we should, as I think we all would like to see. But let's see who that 8th seed is first, though, in the Eastern Conference. It'll probably be Trae Young and the Hawks. If it is, they'll be playing Cleveland. But they got to play number 7 Orlando first in that play-in. And Orlando, don't sleep on them either. So that's it. Right now, the only thing that's locked in is the 4th seed Nuggets hosting the 5th seed Clippers, and the 4th seed Pacers hosting the 5th seed Milwaukee Bucks. And the Lakers and the Timberwolves, 3-6, and then the Knicks and the Pistons at 3-6. That's how it's going to go. What the Nuggets and the Grizzlies do in the postseason will be very interesting to me, because these are the two teams that fired their head coach before the playoffs. Conveniently or inconveniently. We're going to find that out. But let's see how that works out. Wayne is in the building. What's up with you, Wayne? Grand Rising. He says Michael Malone to Memphis Grizzlies would be awesome to see. You know, you kind of sound like something that I said on last week's episode. I said that all of these coaches in the NBA teams, all they do is toss these coaches around. I hate to say that, but that's what it seems like they do. You know, what's his name? Mike Budenholzer. He's about to get fired too in Phoenix. Where's he going to go? He's already been fired by the Bucks. Now he's about to get fired by the Suns. And this would be the third coach that the Phoenix Suns will be firing in 3 seasons. So where does Budenholzer go? Mike Malone to Memphis probably will happen. I said that last week, Wayne, and that's the reason why. And I want to ask you this too, while I got you here. Why do you think it would be awesome? And again, we don't know if Ja Morant is going to be a Memphis Grizzly or not. According to the general manager, he will be. But what if a team like the Knicks or the Phoenix Suns, or I don't know, what if a team says here, we've got picks, we've got players, they just, like give the Memphis Grizzlies or offer them a boatload of stuff, like a boatload of shit. What would they do then? Would they say, okay, we're going to trade Ja Morant? So I think if Ja Morant is still a Grizzly, this would be good for Ja. This would be good for the team. We saw how Taylor Jenkins had lost his team, kind of. Desmond Bane and Aldama getting into a little physical confrontation. He's shoving them on the bench all the way to his seat. They look like they're good now, but they weren't not good at that moment. And this tells me that Taylor Jenkins kind of lost his team. Ja Morant wasn't feeling the offense. He wanted the ball in his hands more. He's getting it in his hands more. He's scoring. He's going from what he was averaging, only 20, to now he's getting 30, 36 a game again. But that's not resulting in the wins either. So maybe Scottie Pippen and these guys should have still been, facilitating the offense. And I would love to see what Mike Malone does if he goes to Memphis. I think it could be good for the Memphis Grizzlies. But you got to win with Mike Malone early, because I'm getting the vibe from what I'm hearing that Mike Malone is he's kind of more like a Jim Harbaugh, an NBA Jim Harbaugh version. He's good when he's good, but he wears you thin very quickly. I heard that Mike Malone, did you hear the reports from Wendy and all of those guys, man, after the firing last week? They said Mike Malone was going to get fired in 2023. That's the year they won the NBA championship. Why would you fire me and I won you a championship? That's the only thing that saved his ass 2 years ago. So they've been wanting to do this for a while. The general manager didn't get along with the head coach. They didn't get along at all. They talked about each other behind each other's backs. And they just said, what the hell? We're gonna get rid of both of you. And we're not gonna, take sides. So this is what the new team that hires Mike Malone will have to deal with. He coaches hard. He doesn't take any shit. He's a no-nonsense type of guy, and that's fine. But some of the players were getting sick of him. They knew that this was going to happen. They're the reason why it happened. They gave Kroenke and those guys, the front office, the consent. Hey, yeah, do it. It won't take any skin off of me. I won't lose any sleep if you fire him. And even Jokic, shout out to Jokic, because the Joker came out and admitted that he knew he was called into the office and they talked to him about Mike Malone, and he understood their decision and he was okay with it after the talks. He didn't say what they said, but he understood it. The same thing LeBron should have said when he heard about AD getting traded and Luka coming to the Lakers. He knew that was going to happen. You think they're not going to ask or talk to LeBron about it at least? They do. And Jokic just told you that over the weekend by admitting that they did talk to him about it. I just like that he admitted that, because we know the players that say they had no idea, they're capping. It's all cap. Just a bunch of lies. LeBron. But hey, Wayne, Michael Malone very well could be a Grizzly. And I think that's the reason why these teams are starting to fire these coaches before the playoffs. If we can do anything to make it make sense, even though it still kind of doesn't, maybe this is why. They want these coaches to be available for teams that are looking, and they can kind of make their early decision and not have to rush as soon as the season ends, where they have to deal with coaching staffs, players on the roster, and all of that in such a short amount of time, while these players are getting signed and coming off the board, immediately. So yeah, anyway, that's enough for the basketball, enough for the NBA. I've got the fourth and fifth seeds locked in, and the third against the sixth seeds locked in the West and the East. Lakers, Timberwolves, Nuggets, Clippers. And then in the East, it's Pacers, Bucks, round one, and Knicks, Pistons, round one. Who do you have? And we're still waiting on 1 and 8, 1 versus 8, and we're still waiting on the second seed teams are still waiting on the 7 seed teams. And then it'll be all wrapped up. Okay. Rory McIlroy beat Justin Rose in the playoffs to win first Masters. He becomes the 6th player to complete a career Grand Slam. Congrats again to McIlroy on winning the Masters. Congratulations to Kyle Gordon, slot cornerback for the Chicago Bears, because he signed a $40 million extension on a 3-year deal, according to Adam Schefter. That happened over the weekend. Shout out to him also. Shout out to Trae Young. As I go through some of the news around the sports world, Trae historic NBA season. What do I mean by that? Trae Young was the only guard in the NBA to average a double-double. He had 11.6 assists per game. Congratulations to Trae Young, trying to get his Hawks in the playoffs at an 8th or 7th seed. And if they do, they'll be facing the Cleveland Cavaliers at 1. If they're a 7th seed team, they'll be playing the Boston Celtics. It kind of sounds like a lose-lose situation to me, but we will see. What if the Hawks do upset somebody? And LeBron James will face his 24th different team in the NBA playoffs when the Lakers play the Timberwolves in the first round, coming up starting this weekend. Shout out to LeBron James. That's what happens when you play 20-plus seasons in the league. But not throwing shade at LeBron, he's been good though. He has been good here lately these past few years. And to be getting older and still looking good, that is phenomenal. It's great. Want to give my condolences to and prayers to the friends and family of former LSU wide receiver Kyren Lacy. Man, he died in an apparent suicide while being pursued by authorities, according to sheriff's report. That's what the sheriff report says. Kyren Lacy, former wide receiver of the LSU Tigers, was a potential draft prospect. Died yesterday in an apparent suicide. Whatever happened, however it happened, still, man, rip. And my condolences to his friends and family, and don't know what the hell went on with that. I heard that he was in some type of homicide case or something. I don't know if he was being looked at as a suspect or something or what, but maybe people think that this would be the reason why he would commit suicide, because he was about to do some serious time anyway. I don't know, man. Would he have gotten drafted or not? Would that hurt his draft stock? Man, who knows? But the former LSU wide receiver, Kyren Lacy, died in an apparent suicide while being pursued by authorities. Sheriff's report says. Okay. And the Dodgers lose 3 straight series in April for the 2nd time in a row. They had got out to a hot start, the defending World Series champions. And Alabama transfer Jaron Stevenson has committed to North Carolina, my Tar Heels. That was breaking news on yesterday. And now I think that's enough. I'm going to go ahead and get into this mock draft. And all of that took 30 damn minutes. Chauncey Billups got an extension also with the Trailblazers. He had been an option for the Phoenix Suns. They had their eyes on him because the Phoenix Suns are about to fire Budenholzer. There were talks that the Portland Trail Blazers were going to fire Chauncey Billups. I guess that wasn't true at all because now they've given him an extension to remain head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers. Daryl Morey, president of the Sixers, said that he and Nick Nurse will be returning, ending all of the speculation surrounding the Philadelphia 76ers and what they'll be doing. Of course, Embiid and Maxey and Paul George are all going to continue to be there as well. This is according to Brian Windhorst, or Wendy, at ESPN. Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse will be returning with the 76ers. What else do I have? Oh, and I already talked about the rematch between Luka Doncic facing the Minnesota Timberwolves. He eliminated the Timberwolves last season in the playoffs. Ant-Man wants his lick back. So this will be interesting to see how that is going to go. Lakers, Timberwolves. They're going to get some good rest here too, though. Well, at least the Lakers will. Bronny James started yesterday for the Lakers. They got beat down. Luka and LeBron and all those guys did sit, though. I think Bronny had like 4 points. 4 points or 6 points or something like that. He did get an NBA start in the last game of the season. In the regular season, the Lakers and the Timberwolves, they went 2-2. So they split. So that's that. And that makes sense. Even though I didn't know that until now, it makes sense because I've been trying to debate who am I going to side with here in that series. We'll find out. I'm not ready to make that prediction just yet, but I will before the playoffs tip off on Saturday. Now, I want to talk about this mock draft. I did for the third time now. This is my mock draft 3.0, and I'm going to give you a fourth one as well on next week, or maybe even later this week, depending on some of the developments that will happen around the NFL. I want to say that this mock draft simulator that I did, however, it's not a lot of trades. Unless it's involving the team that I put in, which is my Niners, and I let them do it. The first 2 drafts, I did it all on my own. I did all 32 teams with the picks. But on this one, I decided to let them help me out a little bit just to kind of see. And I did it several times before I went with the final one. Now, I want to give you 2 scenarios on this mock draft. And I say that because, well, on one, my team is only picking once in 2 rounds. This mock draft 3.0 is no longer just a first round mock draft. This is actually 2 rounds. And we all know Cam Ward is going to the Titans. At least we think we know. If that doesn't happen, the Titans will be hitting us with the biggest swerve in recent NFL draft history. But I think they're going to pick the Tennessee Titans. So I have them on both of these mock drafts. Number 2 is where it gets interesting. We all know. And I've been saying that the Cleveland Browns, my mock draft 1.0, I have the Browns selecting Abdul Carter at number 2. And my second mock draft, I have the Browns selecting Shedeur Sanders because that's a bigger need. Quarterback, not edge pass rush. And now on the third one, even though I still want to say Shedeur Sanders, I'm going to say that maybe they're not lying. Maybe they're not blowing smoke when the Cleveland Browns are saying that they are probably going to draft Travis Hunter more than likely. Why would they draft Travis Hunter over Shedeur Sanders? Well, that's simple. They don't think he's a generational talent. They don't like him like that, clearly. And unless he would still be available when they pick at 33, 34, then hey, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to get him. And then they also signed Joe Flacco over the weekend. I think it was Saturday, and it's like, okay, I was looking for the Vikings to do that. The Vikings still have not signed a backup quarterback. But they're still telling me they're out on Aaron Rodgers. J.J. McCarthy's their guy, even though they haven't officially named him the starter. And Aaron Rodgers still hasn't officially signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers yet, but that's neither here nor there. I'm trying to make a point here, and my point is, do you think the Browns signing Joe Flacco is because they're going to draft a quarterback, or the opposite, because they're not going to draft a quarterback? Right now, their quarterback room, I'm sure they've got more than 2 quarterbacks, but the 2 that I know of is Kenny Pickett and now Joe Flacco. Kenny Pickett would probably be the backup. Joe Flacco would probably be the third string. No, I take that back. Joe Flacco would probably be the backup, and Kenny Pickett would be the third string. Either way, do you take either one of these guys seriously as a as a starter for the Cleveland Browns in 2025? Maybe they are. Maybe they're saying, you know what? We're not going to be that good this year either. But Myles Garrett isn't going anywhere. He's the highest paid defensive player in NFL history for the moment. We are going to draft Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. And we can still get, and this is a rumor that they're going to tank too, we can still get Arch Manning next season in 2026. Now, there's reports that have came out that says that Arch Manning may not even, enter the 2026 draft, which would be a bummer for teams that would probably actually tank for him. But again, that's neither here nor there either. Can you see Flacco starting seriously for the Cleveland Browns? And they're not going to draft. They signed Flacco and they have Pickett just in case because they don't plan on drafting a quarterback at number 2. And if they do it, it'll be at 33. And if they do, who will that be? Jackson Dart? And if so, why? Is he better than Shedeur? Or is he just better because you're picking him at 33 versus picking Shedeur at 2? This is going to be very interesting on what the Cleveland Browns do, and it's going to be it's going to really set the tone for the draft. So I'm going to get started here. Enough talking. Round 1. Pick 1. Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward. Easy peasy, right? All right, number 2. On this mock draft here, I've got I've got Travis Hunter being drafted by the Cleveland Browns. I passed on Shedeur just because I am starting to think as much as they need a quarterback, maybe they just don't like their brother like that. Or they do and they don't want us to know. But it just seems like if they really want us to think that they don't like Shedeur, a lot of these teams are doing a damn good job at it. And they probably are blowing smoke. But I've got Travis Hunter going number 2 to the Cleveland Browns. Number 3, Giants will select Abdul Carter. I don't know how good of a fit this is because Abdul Carter he's kind of undersized. He kind of, looks like a Micah Parsons playing on the edge. He also could play a little linebacker as well, like Micah Parsons. And the thing with the Giants, though, they don't have a lot of muscle. Who are some of the guys they've got over there? I can't think of their names now, but they're all kind of in that same structure, size-wise. They got the same, body structure, size, height, weight. They all kind of look the same. They could be adding Abdul Carter and just still, and look, they'll get to the quarterback. I'll say that. But I just thought Travis Hunter playing with Brian Dable, would be a better fit and paired up with Malik Neighbors than him being paired up with Jerry Jeudy. And not even knowing who the quarterback for Cleveland will be. So, but look, again, these picks here that I'm about to give you on this mock draft is the computer on Mock Draft Simulator. They did this. The only thing I did was the 49ers picks in these 2 rounds. Travis Hunter's going number 2 to Cleveland. I think Abdul Carter's going number 3 to the Giants They've got Will Campbell going 4 to the New England Patriots. That's that tackle out of LSU who's supposed to have the Tyrex arms. But I'm hearing that's not a factor, and most teams don't think it'll be a factor. That guy is a mauler. He is you're going to be able to do some good ground and pound with this guy blocking for you. I like Will Campbell at 4 to the Patriots. At number 5, this is one of my favorite players in the draft, but finally I've got the Jaguars. They've got the Jaguars picking somebody else other than Mason Graham. They're going with Armin Membu, the tackle out of Missouri. I think he's the best tackle in this draft, hands down, and I wish my Niners would trade up from 11 to number 5 and draft him no matter what it takes because they need a right tackle. And he could possibly swing over to left tackle when Trent Williams retires, or he could stay at right tackle. We can still get a left tackle between now and then when Trent leaves. Will Campbell would have been good for my Niners also because he could plug in at left tackle immediately after Trent Williams leaves, and he could play left guard until Trent Williams leaves. So Will Campbell and Armin Membu, I think those are one of the 2 guys that the Niners should be trading up to go get. And in my mock draft that I'm going to give you in a minute, you're going to see how I moved on it. But in this one, I'm just going to tell you what they did for me. Membu's going 5 to the Jaguars, not Mason Graham. Number 6, everybody's got the Raiders pretty much picking Ashton Jeanty, the running back out of Boise State. Number 7, the Jets, they're going to go with Mason Graham, the DT out of Michigan. That's interesting. I don't even know if they need a DT. I know they need to fix that offensive line, though. And most people had them getting Membu. But, hey, he's already gone at 5 to Jacksonville. Jeanty, number 6 to the Raiders. Mason Graham, number 7 to the Jets. At number 8, the Panthers select Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. At 9, the New Orleans Saints, and this makes no sense at all to me. They need a quarterback, especially after the news that we heard about Derek Carr, who could possibly be about to have shoulder surgery. Why would the Saints pick? They have here T-Mac is who I like to call him because I can't pronounce his first name. Titaroya McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona, is going number 9 to the Saints. Without Derek Carr being available to play, who's going to throw him that ball? That Ratliff guy? That doesn't really make any sense to me that you get a wide receiver before a quarterback. Maybe they're getting the quarterback later on in the draft. I don't know. I ain't looking that far ahead yet. But T-Mac is going number 9 to the Saints. That's the wide receiver out of Arizona. I think most scouts have him as the best wide receiver in this draft. Number 10, the Bears, who I think is going to trade up in this draft. They've got him sitting still here at number 10. The Bears are going to select Jalen Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia. At 11, this is where it gets interesting. My Niners pick at 11, but I got a proposed trade in this mock draft simulator. A trade. And I was very, very, very... I was very surprised and yet intrigued because I got 2 and 3 different trade offers from the Steelers, from the Cowboys, who just wanted to just come up one spot. I think I also had, who else was it? It was too far up, though. I didn't want to take that chance. I want to say it was Washington or it was somebody. I don't remember. But I'm like, whoa. I think it was the Denver Broncos who pick at 20. These teams are trying to get up to number 11 and get the pick in the 49ers spot. And I'm like, well, what do you think they offered me? What do you think they offered me? This is the reason why my Niners are not going to pick at number 11 in this mock draft. Because the Pittsburgh Steelers traded up with us at 11, and they offered us, of course, we got their pick at 21. What was interesting was that I got, I think, like a 3rd round pick this year. And the main thing that capped it off for me, what the other 2 teams didn't offer, I got a 1st round pick in 2026. You think I didn't take that? So this is what I did. For the Niner fans that are listening or watching me now on YouTube Live, I just told you Membu and Will Campbell are my best players right now in the draft when it comes to a top 10, top 11 picks because we are hurting on the offensive line just as much as we're hurting on the defensive line. And I don't see a DT worth taking at 11 because they have all of these prospects pretty much in the high 20s, low 30s. So unless it's Derek Harmon, who they have, I think, at like the 21st, 22nd best prospect, why would I pick those guys at 11? So I traded back, and I took a 1st round pick from the Steelers for next year. And guess what the Steelers did at 11? They moved up from 21 to 11, 10 spots to draft Shedeur Sanders. Now, the rumor is, and I like how this mock draft simulated this, they even know that they met over the weekend. They had a great meeting. They loved the throws. They loved everything about Shedeur. And I heard that it was very, very productive. They were overwhelmed with joy, and they were pretty happy about Shedeur Sanders. And so the Steelers, a team that are waiting for Aaron Rodgers to make his decision, they're being rumored to like Jackson Dart. They may draft Jackson Dart. They may draft some quarterback this year or next year. No doubt about it. But I thought it was interesting that they have the Steelers trading up from 21 to 11, giving up a 1st round pick. And I took it. And they draft Shedeur Sanders at 11. What do you think about that? That's the biggest bombshell that I've dropped in this mock draft so far. Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado, being selected number 11 overall by the Pittsburgh Steelers, who gave my Niners a first-round pick. And I think like a third-round pick. And, of course, we're swapping first-round picks at 21. So I'll give you my Niners pick at 21 in a minute. 11, Shedeur Sanders to the Steelers. All right. At 12, the Dallas Cowboys took Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. I don't really know about that one. I think they'll probably take Matthew Golden, but they have him taking Tyler Warren out of Penn State. At 13, the Dolphins select Kelvin Banks Jr., tackle, Texas. 14, Bengals select Mike Green, edge, Marshall. 15, Atlanta Falcons select Mikael Williams, edge, Georgia. 16, the Cardinals select Colston Loveland, tight end, Michigan. I really do think the Chargers will try to draft him, and I think they'll move up if they have to. That's Harbaugh's guy out of Michigan. But on this mock draft simulator, they have the Cardinals taking Loveland at 16. 17, the Colts select Shamar Stewart, edge, Texas A&M. 18, the Seahawks doing what I don't know. Most Seahawks fans probably do not want them to do, but they do need to replace DK Metcalf. They've got the Seahawks taking Matthew Golden at 18, wide receiver, Texas. 19, the Vikings select Nick Emenrory, safety, South Carolina. Number 20, the Broncos select Jahad Campbell, linebacker, Alabama. Can you imagine the Broncos having this rookie linebacker who I hear is going to be a stud in Jahad Campbell? And Dre Greenlaw is also a Bronco, and they've got Hufanga and all those guys over there from the Niners. That would be a good pick, I think, for the Broncos. Even though I think they probably go running back. All right, 21, the 49ers now picking after they traded with the Steelers, got a first-round pick out of it. I think they're comfortable with drafting at 21. The thing is, as much as I like Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, I just couldn't see myself picking him at 21 when they've got him like number 38 on the list as far as prospects go. And as much as I don't like to do that value shit, that really ain't me. If I want you, I'm picking you. I don't really care about that number. But for whatever reason, I didn't pull the trigger on Walter Nolan. I went with the value. And I went with Derek Hardman, the DT out of Oregon. We do need a defensive tackle. And so with our first and only pick in this 2-round mock draft that I'm giving you, this is all we got out of it. And that's Derek Hardman, the DT out of Oregon. At number 22, the Chargers select Malachi Starks, safety, Georgia. 23, the Green Bay Packers select Jahdae Barron, cornerback, Texas. 24, the Giants select Josh Simmons. That's offensive tackle, Ohio State. So now the Giants have a little bit more help in protecting Russell Wilson and/or Jameis Winston. And they've got Abdul Carter on the pass rush. So they went trenches on both sides of the ball. Not a bad move. Would you Giant fans be happy with that? If they didn't go quarterback and they went Abdul Carter and then they went Josh Simmons to tackle out of Ohio State. They got 2 first-round picks here. The Giants traded up into the first round, back into the first round to pick at 24. I can't tell you who they traded with. I want to say it was the, I don't know who they traded with, but they're back in the first round at 24. And they select Josh Simmons. 25, the Houston Texans select Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver, Ohio State. Hope I got that right. 26, Detroit Lions select Gray Zabel. That's a guard out of North Dakota State. At 27, the Eagles are going with Nick Scorton, the edge out of Texas A&M. 28, the Saints are going with Tyler Booker, offensive guard, Alabama. So that's 2 picks for the Saints. They traded back into the first round also. I don't know with who. I'm just looking at my final full results here. But they're picking again here at 28. At number 9, they have them drafting T-Mac, Tatario McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona. And then they come back at 28 and they draft Tyler Booker. So they've got a receiver, they've got a guard, but no quarterback. I don't know. We'll see what's going on with Derek Carr, too. But 29, the Washington Commanders select my guy, Walter Nolan, DT Ole Miss. They could use that, too. That's a good pick for them. Number 30, who some people have Walter Nolan going to the Buffalo Bills. Here, the Buffalo Bills at 30 select James Pierce Jr., edge, Tennessee. 31, the Chiefs select Donovan Jackson, guard, Ohio State. We saw how they got beat in the trenches in the Super Bowl, and I mean bad, and the lack of protection that Patrick Mahomes had in the interior. So this is a wise pick, it looks like it, if he can play football in the NFL. Donovan Jackson, guard, Ohio State. All right, and the last pick of the first round is the Baltimore Ravens at 32. So they definitely traded back, and I think that's what they did. They traded back with the Giants. If I'm not mistaken, that may have been the team that they traded back with. No, it was the Eagles. I'm sorry. The Eagles were 32, and now the Eagles are picking at 27. They went with Nick Scorton, the edge from Texas A&M, and the Ravens went from 27 to 32. And now they're drafting Siobhan Revel, cornerback from East Carolina. All right, that's the first round. That's a wrap. What do you think about that first round? In round two, and again, I'm sorry, what I didn't mention, not only did I get a first round pick from the Steelers when we moved from 11 to 21, that's my 49ers, I also accumulated a second first round pick in 2026, and that came from the New York Giants. So what I forgot to tell you is that I traded back to 21 with the Steelers. I'm just trying to figure out or remember how did I get the Giants to give me a pick. It was round two. They got back into the first round, drafting at 24. I don't remember how I done that. All I know is I only got one pick overall in round one, and it's Derek Harmon, DT out of Oregon. The Giants have two. And I have, when I look at my draft picks and my results, I have Derek Harmon at 21, and I have a 2026 first round pick from the Giants, and I have a 2026 first round pick from the Steelers. So I got 2 first round picks out of this shit. That's why I took it. And I don't know how Derek Harmon is going to fare in the NFL. I ain't even watched much of his film, I'm not going to lie. I've been too busy watching Kenneth Grant out of Michigan and Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. And those are the 2 players that I have my Niners selecting in round one in my first mock draft. But who would turn down 2 first round picks? That's what they offered. I took it. So this would be more of the 49ers if they done this for real. This would be them saying, man, look, we may be a wild card team in 2025, maybe, but probably not. But look what we're going to do in 2026. We will be 1 year removed from all of our cap casualties and all of the hard cap hits that we have to take, all of the cap penalties, the dead cap, money, the dead money and stuff that we have to pay out to a lot of players that we've had to let go and release, cut, trade away, whatever. And we got past that financial problems, and now the reset mode officially begins in 2026. We've got more cash to spend on free agents, and we've got 3 first round picks in 2026. I just couldn't pass that up. There was no one I wanted at 11 that bad, and even when I traded back to 21, I did make that pick. I don't remember how I got the Giants' first round pick, but I'm telling you, I did. And it has something to do with my second round pick at 43. Or am I still picking at 43? Let's see here. Let's go to... Okay, so here's my second round. And I'm not picking in the second round, so that is why. My pick was 43, and the Giants are picking at 43. So now I'm back on track on what happened here with my 2-round mock draft simulator. The 49ers only picked at 21. They got that from the Steelers. The Steelers moved up to 11 and drafted Shadur Sanders. And then I traded back. After making my pick at 21, I got a trade call from the Giants who said, we want to pick at 43. That's my second round pick, my Niners. And the Giants stepped in and we said, okay, you can have it, because they offered They offer some picks, but the main thing that I was looking at was that it's a 2026 first round pick. It's the Giants. The Steelers' first round pick may not be all that, but the Giants probably will be. It'll probably be a top 5 pick more than likely, so I took it. I've got 3 first round picks in 2026. I'll continue now with my second round. I know that was a lot. And I need to get Terrence in here, my co-host, so we can get a screen and I can show you all everything that I'm doing here with this mock draft, and you can actually see, everything that I'm looking at right now with these mock drafts. Okay, so number 33. I might have already shown you that. You might have saw it. The Cleveland Browns select Jackson Dart, quarterback, Ole Miss. That's the reason why they passed on Shedeur Sanders at number 2. But they're comfortable with picking Jackson Dart at 33. Would they have picked Shedeur Sanders if he was still on the board at 33? Hell yeah, I'm sure they would have. But he's not. He went 11 to Pittsburgh. So Jackson Dart, the first pick of round 2, goes to the Cleveland Browns. And now the Browns quarterback room, according to this mock draft simulator, is Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, and Jackson Dart in maybe a 3-way competition to see who's going to be the starter and the backup, and if they're going to suit 3 quarterbacks to third string. Moving on, 34. The Chiefs must have traded up because they just picked at 31. And now they're back up at 34 to draft a defensive tackle out of Ohio State, Tyleik Williams. 35, the Patriots get a player that I think people are going to sleep on. Luther Burton III, wide receiver, Missouri, goes to the Patriots at 35. That was a trade also. At 36, the Jaguars select Xavier Watts, safety, Notre Dame. At 37, the Raiders select Trey Amos, cornerback, Ole Miss. That's a sleeper. That's a good player also. 38, Ole Miss surprisingly are going to have some decent players. Walter Nolan, Jackson Dart, Trey Amos right here. That's 3 picks in the top 37 overall. People are not talking about Ole Miss a lot, but that's 3 players in the top 40. Trey Amos, cornerback, Ole Miss, going 37 to the Raiders. At 38, I've got the Titans. Well, they have the Titans selecting Donovan Eziraku, edge, Boston College. 39, the Bengals have one of my draft crushes here. At 39, they select Kenneth Grant, DT, Michigan. They definitely need to shapen up that defense. So that's not a bad pick. Mike Green was their first pick in round 1. So they're going in the trenches completely here. That's good. That's what they need to do because all the money is going toward the offense. Number 40, the Rams. I think this is their first pick here because the Rams traded out of the first round. Yeah, this is the Rams' first pick here, according to this mock draft simulator. At number 40, the Rams select Benjamin Morrison, cornerback, out of Notre Dame. Number 41, the Bears, still in the trenches. They select JT Tuimalu. JT Tuimalu, edge, Ohio State. 42, the Jets select Landon Jackson, edge, Arkansas. 43, the Giants select Mason Taylor, tight end, LSU. 44, the Cowboys select, this is interesting, Amarian Hampton. Amarian Hampton, running back, North Carolina. So they passed on, well, they couldn't get Genty, and they didn't even go wide receiver in the first round. They surprisingly went with Tyler Warren, the tight end. And in round 2, they go running back, Amarian Hampton. Do you all think he's going to be on the board that long, though? Running back out of North Carolina. I can kind of see the Broncos picking him. But anyway, 45, the Colts select Wyatt Milam, guard, West Virginia. 46, the Atlanta Falcons select Azareye'h Thomas, cornerback, Florida State. 47, the Jets select Josh Cornerly, tackle, Oregon. Okay, so the Jets are doing some things here. That's their second pick in the second round already. They just picked their 42, going edge, Landon Jackson from Arkansas. And now at 47, they're getting a tackle out of Oregon, Josh Connerly. 48, the Miami Dolphins are going with Joa Salvania, I'm sure I got that wrong. Jonah Savanea, guard, Arizona. 49. The Bears select Cameron Williams, tackle, Texas. At 50. The Seattle Seahawks select, these names are, I'm telling you, they're hard, and I'm botching all of them, I'm sure. Ariante Ursary, tackle, Minnesota. That's the Seahawks. 51, Broncos select Quishon Judkins, running back, Ohio State. There's their running back right there at 51. I don't know if they'll wait that long, though. Quishon Judkins, running back, Ohio State, going to the Broncos at 51. The Cleveland Browns picking again. Just picked their 33. They're back on the clock at 52. And they select Trey Harris, wide receiver, Ole Miss. That's the fourth Ole Miss player being selected in almost the top 50. 52. Shout out to Ole Miss. And I have to do that. I mean, I'm 30 minutes, 40 minutes away. Born 15 minutes away from Ole Miss. So yeah, they're bringing in some talent here. I mean, they have to be. Why would they have this many players? I don't think I've called out 4 players out of any school just yet. But I have right here in 52 picks, 4 players from Ole Miss off the board, if anybody cares. I just think it's something to think about. Trey Harris, Ole Miss, going to Cleveland at 52. At 53, the Buccaneers select Brandon Swinson, edge, LSU. At 54, the Packers select Princely Uman Millen. Edge, Ole Miss. Wow. That's a 5th player out of Ole Miss in the top 55. 54. Packers select edge out of Ole Miss, Princely Umanmielen. I said that wrong, I'm sure. Umanmielen. All right, that's 5 players in 54 picks. Damn, out of Ole Miss. I think that people are not talking about Ole Miss enough. According to this mock draft, at 55, the LA Chargers select Jalen Royals, wide receiver out of Utah State. At 56, the Bills select Darian Porter, cornerback, Iowa State. At 57, the Carolina Panthers select Oluwafemi Oladejo. Edge, UCLA. 58, the Texans, they select Travion Henderson, running back, Ohio State. The Ravens, at 59, select Tate Ratledge, guard, Georgia. At 60, the Detroit Lions select Andrew Makuba, safety, Texas. 61, Washington, they select Jalen Noel, wide receiver, Iowa State. At 62, the Buffalo Bills select Carson Schwesinger, linebacker, UCLA. At 63, the Buccaneers. And these are a lot of trades. So if you're looking at it and you're like, they don't pick at that number, these are the trades. If they're out of whack, it's because there were trades being made. And I'm just giving you the full result. At 63 again, the Buccaneers are selecting Maxwell Hairston, cornerback, Kentucky. I'm kind of familiar with him. Surprised that he's actually on the board this late. And at 64, the Eagles select Marcus Mabo. I hope that's right. Marcus Mabo, tackle, Purdue. That's my 2-round mock draft simulator. They did it pretty much on their own. The only thing I did was take care of my 49ers. That's all I did on that one. What do you think? At the end of the day, out of 2 rounds, the 49ers only have 1 player, and that's Derek Harmon, DT out of Oregon. But they have 2026 first-round picks from the Giants and the Steelers, plus our own. My Niners, if they'd done this, they would have 3 first-round picks. And I am so excited about that. I would probably just be like, you know what? The hell with 2025. We'll do what we can do. Hopefully, Kyle Shanahan will be creative, innovative, and will be the offensive play caller that everybody says he is. Yeah, right. But if he does, then sky's the limit. Let's see if we can make something out of nothing. But he's not going to have the expensive groceries in the kitchen to cook with. I mean, Jed York and the 49ers are supplying Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch with a lot of low-budget, generic type of foods. And they're going to have to turn that generic stuff into a, wonderful dish. And can they do it? Well, they need to, because they didn't get it done when they had the good players and the big contracts. That didn't really work. So they're not building the house all the way over. They're not completely tearing it down, but it's a renovation. And in this renovation, I would love to see what happens with 3 first-round picks in 2026. The hell with what happens in 2025. The sky has to be the limit. If we're so bad in 25, it can only be up in 26. So that's what I end up coming up with. Now, there is another mock draft that I did where I didn't take those trades. I said to hell with that. And when I done that, I came away with... who did I come away with when I done that? Man, where did it go? And not that I don't like this one either, because I do. But in the other mock draft that I did, I had my Niners trading up from 11 to 10, just one spot, because Mimbu was still on the board. Armin Mimbu, tackle out of Missouri, who I love. I wish we could get him very, very bad. He could play right tackle right now, and take over from Colton McKivitz. So I picked him at number 10 in that mock draft that I was doing over the weekend, and it's because he was still available. And in that mock draft, Shedeur Sanders went number 9 to the Saints, like most people think he would. But according to this one I just gave you, he's going 11 to the Steelers because the Steelers are trading up with my Niners. But on this one, I just wanted to say to Niner fans, I also had another mock draft here where I did not take the trades. I sit there at 10. I only moved up one spot because I wanted Armin Mimbu. But the top 5 is still pretty much predictable. Cam Ward at 1, Abdul Carter at 2, Travis Hunter at 3, Will Campbell at 4, Will Johnson at 5 to the Jaguars. That was funny. The Bears moved up to 6 and got Ashton Jeanty. The Jets had to go with Mason Graham instead. The Colts picked Jalen Walker, Shedeur to the Saints at 9, and I picked Armin Mimbu at 10. The Raiders went with Colston Loveland at 11, the tight end. Tyler Warren went to the Colts, so you had back-to-back tight ends on that one. That mock draft doesn't look bad either. The Steelers ended up taking McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona, in this one. Don't know about that one. I kind of like what I did with the trade, though. I don't mind Shedeur moving up in our spot to take... I don't mind the Steelers moving up to our spot at 11 to take Shedeur Sanders. And I don't mind taking first-round picks from the Giants and the Steelers. And I only got one player out of it, and that was the DT. But in this mock draft here, I got Armin Mimbu at 10, and I got Kenneth Grant at 42 overall, the DT out of Michigan. I would love that. Either one of those drafts I would be cool with. If the Niners came out with Mimbu and Kenneth Grant, I would say they got an A or an A+. If the Niners came away with just Derek Harmon from Oregon, because they traded back, and they traded back a few times, and they got first-round picks out of it with the Steelers and the Giants like I got in that mock draft, I'd be okay with that too. I probably would like that more. I know that says, well, what about 2025? But what about 2026? Could you imagine anybody watching right now, if your team had 3 first-round picks, if there's not a player that you like at that number that bad, go for it. That's what I did. All right, so that's pretty much it for right now. Talked about the basketball playoffs, Lakers and Timberwolves. That's locked in at 3 and 6. Who do you like winning that series? Luka and LeBron versus Ant-Man. Who's going to win it? I also talked about who's the other one at 4 and 5. The Clippers and the Nuggets. The Nuggets being the 4th seed there. And then over to the East, I talked about the Pistons and the Knicks at 3-6. And 4 and 5, the Pacers at 4 host the 5th seed Bucks. Those are the 4 right there that are locked in. Still waiting on number 7 and 8 in the Eastern and Western Conference. So the number 1 seed and the number 2 seeds are basically chilling. All right. I ain't got anything else. Derek Carr could possibly be having surgery. And that means that the Saints could get desperate here. And a lot of people are already saying Shedeur Sanders could go to the Saints at 9 before the shoulder injury. Now everybody's pretty much going to say, yeah, he's going number 9. But in that mock draft, a weird one, they've got the Saints picking McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona, which is why the Steelers said, hold up, wait a minute. And they picked at 11, trading with my Niners, and they drafted Shedeur Sanders. I can see that happening too. I wish the Steelers would call us, because that would be very good for us to go back 10 spots if we don't see anybody, if all the players that we wanted are gone. That would be good. And I'm going to end it with this, ladies and gentlemen. What about this TJ Watt post where he's saying peace out? He's throwing up the deuces like he's leaving Pittsburgh. Is he really trying to leave, or is he doing the same thing Myles Garrett just did? And that is try to get an extension. TJ Watt is a phenomenal player. And just a few years ago, I said he was the best edge rusher in football. Now, we're looking at players like Max Crosby. We're looking at players like, and TJ Watt still doing his thing now. But there's other names out there to mention. And TJ Watt is getting to an age now. So is Trey Hendrickson. As good as these guys are, they're 30, 31. So, how much are you trying to get at that age, TJ Watt? It looks like he's probably just trying to get paid. However, what if the Steelers look at it and say, hey, you know what? As good as you are, we're not winning playoff games with your ass. How about we just call your bluff? Do you really want out? You really want to say peace? You really trying to say peace out, Pittsburgh? All right. So, before I end this show, I just want to say this before anybody shoots or says, nah, I'm unsubscribing, this dude is crazy. It ain't my idea. It came from somebody else at ESPN. I think it was Chris Canty or somebody, and I know he says some unhinged things at times. Even makes me look good, because I say a lot of unhinged things here at the Great Debate Show. But this, to me, made sense. I know the 49ers are supposed to pay Brock Purdy. I know he's going to get paid. More than likely, $55 million a year. Maybe even 60. But they suggested Thursday, Friday, late last week, whenever TJ Watt made that post, that what if the Steelers traded TJ Watt to the San Francisco 49ers for their franchise quarterback, Brock Purdy? He would be their franchise quarterback then, right? Well, most people would say, hell no. The Niners aren't doing that. But what would the Niners get offered? Would you immediately say no? Franchise quarterbacks are hard to come by? Or would you at least listen to what the Steelers have to offer? Because Brock Purdy is limited. Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. But that's when he's surrounded by elite players. If he doesn't have the elite players, and he won't in 2025, how good is Brock Purdy? Could you trade him and get the house for him right now? Like a TJ Watt and a second-round draft pick? Or TJ Watt and a third? Or hell, a first. I don't know what the Steelers will be willing to give up, but what if they actually said, here's TJ Watt, you can have him. Can we have your quarterback, please? I don't think it's that crazy. And I only say that because Debo was in Washington. And Brock Purdy shined when Debo was on the roster. Whether Debo did had a good game or not, and I know in 2024 there wasn't a lot of good games from him at all. But if you look at Purdy's record and Shanahan's record, it ain't too good without Debo. Debo won't be there. So, along with players like Charvarius Ward, Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, all those people that have left the defense that kind of had the Niners offense looking okay, because Kyle Shanahan We know he coaches and calls plays not to lose the game. He doesn't call plays to win the fucking game. He relies on his defense and his running game to bail him out of, those clutch situations that he wants no part of, because he will choke every time. I think history shows us that. So if that defense is kind of, weakened now, and it wasn't that good with these players on the roster in 2024. People were injured and all of that, I get it. But these players are not coming back that I just mentioned. And on the offense, neither is Debo. We don't know when Brandon Ayuk is coming back. Do you trust Brock Purdy with average players on that roster, on his offense? Can he put that team on his back and carry them? Can he elevate his game and carry the rest of the team? I'm not sure about that. And if I'm not sure about that, then that's the reason why I'm not sure about him getting 55, 60 per. I thought 45 was a generous offer. And I think 50 is something that he should take. And that would be my last offer. And the deal hasn't got done yet, probably because they've drawn the line in the sand, and whatever that number is, as of now, the Niners aren't backing off of it. They're not backing off of that number, and they're doubling down on it. And I think Purdy and his agent is doing the same thing. They're not signing that shit. They want something better. So you tell me if the Pittsburgh Steelers came along, picked up the phone, hey, how you doing, Mr. Lynch, Mr. Shanahan? What would it take for us to acquire Brock Purdy? We're sick of Aaron Rodgers' bullshit. We're tired of waiting on him. And you know what? Even if Aaron Rodgers did sign with the Steelers, it would probably be 1 year with a second-year option. Would you still pass on Brock Purdy if the Niners said, yeah, you know what, we're listening? But if they're sick of waiting on Aaron Rodgers, and Mason Rudolph is their quarterback right now, it makes a lot of sense for the Steelers to do it, because they're not winning playoff games or Super Bowls with TJ Watt. And I love TJ Watt. And then with the 49ers, how well would the Niners fare with TJ Watt on the opposite side of Nick Bosa? No, they don't have their quarterback, and I know those franchise quarterbacks are hard to come by. I know. I get it. But damn, how good do you think your quarterback is going to be with the lack of talent he will have in 2025? We don't know when Brandon Ayuk is coming back. We don't know if he'll be the same. We don't know if Christian McCaffrey will be the same. We don't know if George Kittle will still be George Kittle. He's the only one that I'm really confident in that's returning in the offseason. In 2025 for the 49ers. What about McCaffrey? What about Ayuk? What about Trent Williams? We don't know. None of these are guarantees that they will come back and be the same players they once were. And we don't know about the development of Ricky Pearsall. Jawan Jennings, is he number 2 or is he number 3 on the wide receiver chart? Ricky Pearsall, is he number 2 or 3 on the chart? Or is he ever going to play that Jacob Cowan dude who he just used to return kickoffs but can run? No one knows what the offense for the 49ers is going to look like. I think they signed that tight end, Luke Farrell, out of Jacksonville to block more and go 2-3 tight end sets more. I wouldn't be surprised if he drafted Tyler Warren, even though I don't want that to happen because he brought back Kyle Juszczyk. But I think they're going to go 2-3 tight end sets and stuff like that because they don't really have much of an offense or anyone that can take off the top. And I think they're going to go back to what they did in 17 and 18. Run the ball, play action. We'll see what happens. But, this is a growing year, and we're just trying to develop and get better. And we're going to have to be bad to get good. They were bad last year. They may be bad in 2025. I don't think they'll be like 6-11 bad, but I think they'll be somewhere on the cusp of 9-8, 10-7. And that's only because the schedule is going to be pretty weak and easy. They finished at the bottom, so they'll play everybody in the bottom of their respectful divisions. I just think that whole ESPN, I think it was Chris Canty or somebody from Unsportsmanlike, I don't think that was a crazy take. For everybody that's bashing Purdy to the Steelers, TJ Watt to the Niners, it don't sound that bad to me. Because if we're not going to do that much with Purdy in 2025, and I know we could build around Purdy, we could. But what if we just traded Purdy away and we were really bad in 2025 and we could go get Arch Manning in 2026. We would also have 3 first-round picks in 2026 if we did it the way my mock draft simulator just done it. So I just thought I would just say that. Purdy's probably going to get paid by the 49ers, and I'm okay with that. I'm not a Purdy hater. I like Purdy. I just know that I'm more realistic. I'm not one of those 49er fans that are just going to say, man, pay the man already. Well, what does he have to prove? He's took us to a Super Bowl. That don't fly with me because Jimmy Garoppolo took us to a Super Bowl. And that ain't saying much other than Brock Purdy is a little better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He will scramble and he will move out of the pocket more. But he still makes ill decisions, poor judgment. He's thrown interceptions that cost us games. He's throwing away games, literally. He can't grip a football when it's 30% precipitation. He has some flaws now. He does. But I like how he, regardless of the outcome, he's ready for the moment. He's not a choke artist like his head coach Kyle Shanahan. He's ready for the clutch. He's won games in the clutch. But he makes mistakes as well, and all quarterbacks do, but because of his limitations, can't afford to have those mistakes with Purdy. A lot of interceptions he's thrown has been dropped. But he's also thrown several interceptions in 2024 that cost us the season and put us out of playoff contention. And I just have to say those things when I think about what I want to do when the Steelers call me on the phone. I don't know. I was watching Draft Day yesterday. Well, one of my favorite movies. Shout out to Kevin. What was his name again? The bodyguard guy. I can't even think of his damn name, and I just watched the movie. Costner? I'm sorry. I'm having a brain freeze. You know who I mean. Draft Day. Anybody that's in here watching right now and listening, you watched it. Very, very good movie. And I'm feeling like Draft Day right now. If the Steelers were to call me, I think I would at least listen. I would. But that's neither here nor there. That's all I've got. I gave you Mock Draft 3.0. This time I gave you 2 rounds where Shedeur Sanders is drafted at 11 by the Pittsburgh Steelers because they traded with my Niners. And we got a first-round pick out of it. And then the Giants also traded out for our second-round pick, and we backed out of that too at 43. And we're not picking in the second round either because the Giants offered my team a first-round pick. So I've got 3 first-round picks in 2026. That would be a hell of a way to make up for the 3 first-round picks they lost back in 2021. Going for Trey Lance that didn't work out at all. And I think the reason why the 49er fans, why a lot of 49er fans and the 49er front office wants to pay Brock Purdy so damn bad is because they are being loyal. And there's nothing wrong with that, but don't be too loyal. I think that's what they're doing, though. They are so grateful that Brock Purdy saved the franchise's ass, because if Brock Purdy was actually playing like the last pick of the draft, the Niners will be screwed right now because it didn't work out with Trey Lance, and if it didn't work out with Brock Purdy, they still be looking for a quarterback. That's why they're so eager to pay Brock Purdy. They're just surprised that it's not coming on a discount or somewhat of a discount. He's like, fuck that. And I mean, again, I can't blame Brock Purdy. I mean, he did go to a Super Bowl. But we can't act like we didn't see 2024. I don't want to hear about the injuries and all of that stuff. Josh Allen, he went through the same thing, whether it had been injuries or people like Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs leaving in free agency. And he had his best year of his career and was an MVP. So those are the things where you can miss me with when we talk about who had what and who had this and who didn't have that. Brock Purdy wasn't the only quarterback that went through injuries and didn't have his entire roster. But that's it. What do I know? Is Shedeur Sanders going to go to the Steelers? Are they going to trade up from 21 to 11 like I have on my mock draft? Would we trade back? Would we even do that? It depends on who they want and who they like. If the players they want and like so bad are gone, they could do it. I'm starting to think they'll trade up, though. I didn't see anyone trading up to 11 that bad. But, again, that's why number 2 The number 2 pick with the Cleveland Browns is so damn interesting because if they don't pick Shedeur, this blows everything wide open for a lot of teams. And teams actually could say, hey, we're moving up. We're moving up, damn it. We want number 11. I really can't see that, but again, if the Saints were to pass on Shedeur Sanders too, then that could happen. And that only happened because my mock draft has the Saints picking T-Mac, McMillan, the receiver out of Arizona, and I don't know why. They did that. I let them do that on a simulator. I didn't do it. Now, the one that I did, I've got the Saints picking Shedeur at 9, and I've got us picking Armin Mimbu at 10. Moving up a spot. We moved up from 11 to 10. And I have my Niners picking Kenneth Grant at 43. Surprisingly, he was still there on the board. But I think I'd much rather have those 2 first-round picks from the Steelers and the Giants. And just give me Derek Harmon out of Oregon, the DT, and give me those first-round picks. And now I've got 3 for next year. I'm good. And it'll probably be with a new coach. Because if anybody thinks Kyle Shanahan won't be on the hot seat, they want to see what he can do when he doesn't have a full deck of cards. They would like to know that he can do this without spending a boatload of money and still not win a Super Bowl from it, because they did. All right, I talked about McIlroy, who won the Masters, earning a career Grand Slam. I talked about the NBA playoff picture. That's it. Monday Night Raw tonight on Netflix. Me and Terrence will be here tonight immediately after the show to recap Raw. And we'll probably come right back in here tomorrow or Wednesday, and we will give you our WrestleMania 41 predictions. That's it. That's all I got. My 90 minutes is up. Thank you for everybody that was in here watching. Thank you for everybody listening. The Great Debate Show is available wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. And if you have never seen his ugly face before, go to YouTube and type in The Great Debate Show and watch me live here debating with the audience, debating about whatever, whoever, whenever, here on The Great Debate Show. Just go to The Great Debate Show, type that in the search bar, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That helps us out a lot here. And you can comment, give us a thumbs up, hit the like button and all of that. It would very, very, very be appreciated. It helps us out here with the algorithm. And that's all I got. Hope everybody have a great Monday, a magnificent Monday. Have a great, productive week. And until we yeet again, y'all be safe out there. Peace.